Hello, everybody. Oscar here, planting a little bit of wheat. Apologies for the dishevelled appearance, but wheat planting time, and things don't always go smoothly or according to plan. And I guess that's particularly true for anyone who was a Liberal Party candidate or MP last night. I wanted to just throw out a few thoughts for everyone, and this is particularly to anyone who's a member of New South Wales Farmers Association. I've been a member of the board of directors there. My term is limited to 2 years, and I'll be finishing up in July, and won't be recontesting that seat. So there's an open board position effectively, and I would strongly encourage any young farmer who watches this video or thinks about it, if you've got board experience or legal experience or professional financial experience, I would urge you to consider putting your name forward on that New South Wales Farmers Association board, or any of the other committees or policy committees, executive council and the like. New South Wales farmers, a bit like Australian politics, it's a thriving democracy, but it is voluntary, and decisions are made by those who show up on the day, and those who have the temerity and the courage and the motivation to stick their hands up. So please, if you want to see state and federal advocacy improving and you think you can add to that, please come along to the New South Wales Farmers Conference, 22nd of July, and stick your hand up. But what I wanted to sort of postulate a little bit on is last night's election results. A lot of Conservatives, myself included, were pretty shocked by just how strong the ALP win was. And from an ag policy perspective, really big implications. So I just want you to imagine 3 circles. One circle over here, that's your interests as a farmer. That's what's important to your business. That's what keeps your business profitable. It allows you to continue to operate your farm and allows you to stay employing people, providing food and fibre to feed and clothe everyone in this country. That's your interest, a circle. That there's another 2 circles that a lot of people in farm advocacy don't think about, but they've become incredibly relevant after last night's result. The whitewash or redwash for the Labor Party means that we have to start thinking about, to me, 2 separate groups. One is the former voters who used to support the Liberal Party and who in the last couple of elections have not. Specifically, the people who moved from Libs to Labor, and they've got a particular set of values, a circle of interest, and also the people who moved from the Libs and started voting for the Teals, some of whom are still arguably quite conservative in their political outlook, maybe more traditionally conservative than the modern current iterations of the Libs. But those people who moved to the Teals are a particularly interesting group because they do share a lot of values with farmers, and they do have a lot of things where we can work with them. And I guess that's what I wanted to frame or put out there, is this idea that our focus as farm advocacy bodies has always been here, but at a time when the federal government has majority in the lower house, and well, who knows what the Senate's going to be. It'll be a few weeks before we find out that it could be even stronger movement away from traditional conservative parties. We as farmers are going to have to start thinking about politics, which is defined essentially, I love this one, as politics is the art of the possible. So what is it possible for us as farmers to get and achieve in the next term of government, those 3 years, and also potentially the 3 years after that, because it's such a big move that it could be 6 years before we see a Conservative government back in Canberra. Okay, so those 3 circles are where you can find that. If we can speak to those voters who moved from the Libs to Labor or to Teals in the last 2 elections, if we can find what is common, the overlap, the Venn diagram overlap portion, where their interests and our interests are aligned, then logically, that's where we should be focusing our communication efforts. That's where we should be reaching out with media releases, policy statements, and all the other advocacy and lobbying work that groups like New South Wales Farmers do. If we can reach out and talk to that audience about our shared values and ideas and priorities, then that audience will listen to farmers, and therefore, as swing voters, Labor will listen to them. Okay, so we don't share a lot of really strong common values and policies with a traditional Labor Party or a Labor government. There are some, and those common areas we can certainly work on, but in terms of a strategy for communication and for policy and lobbying work, the best wins we can hope to achieve and the best way of building rapport with agriculture is by focusing on the common overlap area of those three circles. Traditionally, that's not where farmer groups have focused their communication efforts. And often when farmer groups do that sort of work, where the focus of outreach and lobbying and publicity and PR is not in the traditional area which farmers prioritise, often farm leaders or staff are then criticised for that. But I guess this video is me trying to say we probably need to think about doing things a little bit differently for the next 3 years. Because if we don't reach out to those swing undecided category of voters, or the ones who have moved substantially in that landslide election this year and the one 3 years ago as well, if we can't speak to them, we are dead in the water. We just do not have the ability to open any doors. So a new approach, which is not necessarily popular with all of our members, particularly the ones who watch a lot of Sky News, that new approach might be the best way for farmer groups to then initialise a policy discussion where we can find wins to normalise relations with the federal government and its key ministers, and to essentially capture the attention of a government that otherwise doesn't have a lot of reasons to listen to ag. I'm sure there's other ideas and theories. This one would require farmers to be a little bit brave and a little bit supportive of their farmer leaders, and in some cases might require some new farm leaders. So, like I said at the beginning, I'm not standing in my current role as a New South Wales Farmers, and I hope that there's a young, smart farmer somewhere out there who decides that they're going to spend the time and make that commitment to our state and national advocacy efforts to help push those different strategies, different ideas through. It would be fair to say the last 3 years haven't been working particularly well for us. We haven't had a huge number of policy wins, and a lot of the ones we have been working with minor parties or the opposition and getting around the federal government in the Senate. Things like the biosecurity tax. That's an example where it was the Nats and the Libs came to the party, but we had to get the support of the Greens and Pocock and people like that as well. That's one of the few places where we've had big wins, and that's kind of the model that we have to be pursuing over the next 3, maybe 6 years. Anyway, bit of a rant from the tractor cab. Maybe I've been listening to too much ABC and not enough Sky. But if you are keen on helping to set the shape and setting the agenda and setting the priorities and policies of your state farmer organisation, New South Wales Farmers, and if you're keen on helping organisations that represent you do their job better, then you need to stand up and put yourself forward for some of those positions. And to do that, you've got to come along to the New South Wales Farmers AGM in July in Sydney, talk to your local branch chairs or your regional service manager staff and figure out how to get in there. Anyway, good luck for planting. Hope it's going well for you. Hope it's going better than I am here. But anyway, we're trotting along pretty well now. And good luck for the rest of planting, and hope the season gets wetter and stays good. Cheers.